Beneath the blazing sun of the Horn of Africa, there is a place where the ocean glitters like polished glass, yet every wave carries the echo of danger, a land where survival is not just a daily struggle but an entire identity. This is Somalia, a country the world whispers about but rarely understands, a place where pirate tales, hunger, and endless conflict collide with unbelievable resilience and beauty. Imagine walking along a beach so pristine, it looks untouched by time, while only a few streets away, bullet-scarred walls tell stories too heavy for words. Imagine markets overflowing with color and life, yet surrounded by checkpoints and uncertainty. Somalia is a paradox wrapped in dust, salt, and determination, chaotic, fragile, and fiercely alive. Today, we journey into a nation many fear, but few truly know, to uncover the lives
with hopes and hidden strength of its people. The land of harsh winds and endless coastlines. Somalia stretches along the Horn of Africa like a narrow crescent pushed between desert and sea, a landscape shaped by scorching winds, shifting dunes, and an ocean that both nourishes and threatens. Its coastline, one of the longest in all of Africa, has been a blessing for ancient traders, but a curse in modern times as foreign vessels have plundered its waters, dumping waste and stripping fish stocks, leaving coastal communities desperate and angry. Inland, the terrain is an unforgiving expanse of dry plains where acacia trees twist against the sun and camel caravans move slowly across horizons that seem endless, their journeys dictated by centuries of nomadic instinct. The climate grows harsher every year, with rains arriving late or not at all, transforming once usable pastures into cracked earth that forces families to abandon their homes in search of water, safety, or simply a chance to survive. Cities like Mogadishu swell with migrants who escape drought only to encounter instability, while others cling to small villages where the sound of the wind is the only reminder that nature still rules. This geography is not just a stage for Somali life, it is the architect of it, shaping everything from clan migration routes to ancient trade networks, from daily meals to the rise of piracy. And despite the harshness, there is a raw beauty here. The red glow of sunset on desert sand, the crash of turquoise waves against empty shores, and the quiet resilience of people who have learned to read the land like a sacred text and survive where few others could. A history of collapse and unfinished promises. Somalia's history is a tapestry woven with ancient glory, colonial ambition, and one of the most dramatic national breakdowns of the modern era. Long before the world knew the country for conflict, it was a powerful trading hub where merchants from Arabia, Persia, and the Indian Ocean sailed in to exchange spices, gold, and incense, and the Somali people built kingdoms that controlled ports and caravan routes stretching deep into Africa. Centuries later, colonial powers carved the region into British Somaliland in the north and Italian Somaliland in the south, planting seeds of division that would echo far into the future. When independence came in the middle of the 20th century, Somalia stood on the edge of hope, united under one language, one culture, and a fierce desire to become a regional power. And for a brief time it worked. Schools opened, cities grew, and its government gained prestige across Africa. But the dream shattered after political tensions deepened, and a military dictatorship took control, crushing opposition while clan rivalries hardened beneath the surface. When the regime finally collapsed, the country did not fall into conflict. It plunged into complete statelessness, a vacuum where warlords carved the land into fragmented territories and ordinary families paid the price in displacement, hunger, and fear. Foreign interventions came and went, sometimes helping, sometimes worsening the chaos, while extremist groups grew from the ashes of instability. Through all of this, Somalis continued to endure, carrying memories of a once promising nation and a longing for a future that has yet to be fully reclaimed. A people defined by clan culture and unbreakable identity. The Somali people are often described as one of the most culturally unified populations in Africa, speaking the same language and sharing the same religion, yet beneath this unity lies a complex network of clans that shapes nearly every aspect of life. These clans are not small family units, but vast lineage groups stretching across regions, binding millions together through ancestry, loyalty, and unwritten rules that have guided society for centuries. In places with weak or non-existent government, clan structures become the real system of protection and justice, determining alliances, marriage, conflict resolution, and even access to land and resources. For many Somalis, the clan is the anchor of identity, offering safety in a landscape where security is fragile and the state cannot always be trusted. This clan system also influences politics, often more powerfully than any constitution or formal authority, as leaders must navigate not only national concerns but the delicate balance of clan interests that can either stabilize or fracture the country. Daily life reflects this deep cultural continuity. Poetry, oral storytelling, and pastoral traditions remain central, and even young Somalis growing up in cities know the lineage of their families generations back. Despite the pressures of war, displacement, and globalization, Somalis maintain an extraordinary sense of identity, one shaped by pride in their heritage and by a belief in resilience as a way of life. They move through hardship with a confidence inherited from ancestors who crossed deserts and seas, guided by a cultural compass that remains intact, even when the nation around them shifts, breaks, or rebuilds. Faith, tradition, and the rhythm of everyday life. Islam is the heartbeat of Somalia, shaping daily routines, social expectations, and the quiet dignity with which people endure hardship. And in a land without long-standing central authority, faith often becomes the moral anchor that keeps communities together. Mosques rise above dusty streets, calling people to prayer 5 times a day, creating a rhythm that persists even in moments of chaos. And families gather around simple meals after sunset during Ramadan, sharing laughter in neighborhoods where gunfire might echo in the distance. Although nearly all Somalis are Sunni Muslims, the practice of faith here is uniquely intertwined with centuries-old nomadic traditions. Hospitality is considered sacred, poetry is revered, and respect for elders remains a pillar of social life. Weddings are elaborate, vibrant celebrations that combine religious customs with lively dances, and gifts exchanged between extended clans, while rites of passage such as naming ceremonies bring entire communities together. Yet the country's religious landscape has also been shaped by darker forces, as extremist groups exploit faith to impose fear, distorting beliefs that most Somalis hold with gentleness and devotion. Despite this, ordinary families continue living their religion with quiet determination, teaching children to recite verses, emphasizing generosity even when food is scarce, and maintaining the customs passed down from generations of herders and traders. Gender roles remain traditionally defined in many areas, with women often carrying the weight of household responsibilities while also running small businesses or markets, proving resilience and silence through everything. War, famine, migration, faith remains the thread that never breaks, grounding Somalis in a world where almost everything else can be taken away. The rise of modern pirates, survival, revenge, and dangerous seas. The story of Somali piracy is far more complex than the headlines that once terrified the world, beginning not with greed but with desperation as foreign ships swarmed unprotected Somali waters after the government collapsed, illegally fishing and even dumping toxic waste that poisoned coastal communities, killing livestock and leaving fishermen with empty nets. For families who relied on the sea for generations, this devastation was not just economic, it was an assault on survival itself, and many took up arms initially to defend their waters, forming small groups that patrolled the coastline in battered wooden skiffs. But as ransoms grew and global attention intensified, these groups evolved into organized operations complete with scouts on land, negotiators with satellite phones, and young men willing to risk everything for a chance at wealth they had never known. Although, for most, the riches were temporary and the dangers permanent. Hijacking a cargo ship required navigating rough seas, dodging military patrols, and facing the possibility of drowning, imprisonment, or violent retaliation. And while a few pirate leaders built mansions, bought luxury goods, and gained notoriety, many foot soldiers remained poor, traumatized, or dead. Still, piracy left a deep mark on Somali culture, creating legends of daring raids and tragic losses told in coastal villages where the sound of waves carries memories of both livelihood and conflict. And today, although international forces have largely quieted the golden era of Somali piracy, its roots, poverty, foreign exploitation, and the struggle to survive, linger beneath the surface, more reminding the world that the phenomenon was never just crime but the desperate response of a people pushed to the edge. Daily life in the shadow of chaos. Daily life in Somalia unfolds like a constant negotiation between danger and determination, as families try to build normal routines in a place where stability is never guaranteed. In cities such as Mogadishu, mornings begin with the buzz of markets opening, vendors arranging fruits, spices, and bundles of kit beneath makeshift shelters, while armed guards stand close enough to remind everyone that safety is never absolute. Electricity comes and goes depending on the neighborhood, forcing people to rely on generators, lanterns, or sheer patience. and water must often be carried from communal wells or purchased from trucks that roam through dusty streets, calling out prices. Children walk to school in uniforms that contrast sharply with the bullet-scarred buildings around them, learning English, Arabic, and mathematics, even as the threat of sudden conflict hovers like an invisible cloud. In rural areas, the rhythm of life depends on livestock, with families moving their herds across dwindling pastures, always searching for rain, while mothers cook simple meals of rice, beans, or flatbread over charcoal fires. Despite everything, Somalis find ways to celebrate life. Tea stalls are always full, laughter rises between conversations, and weddings fill evenings with drumming and dance, proving that joy can exist even in the harshest environments. Transportation is chaotic but vibrant, with brightly painted minibuses weaving through traffic alongside donkey carts, motorcycles, and trucks carrying entire families. Yet beneath these scenes of resilience lies constant uncertainty, because a single shift in clan conflict, weather, or political tension can change everything overnight. Still, people wake up each day, open their shops, teach their children, and push forward, carrying an inner strength shaped by generations who learned how to survive where most would give up. Flavors, colors, and culture that refuse to fade. Somalia's cultural soul remains vibrant even after decades of conflict, expressed most clearly through its food, poetry, music, and traditions that survived precisely because people held on to them when everything else collapsed. Somali cuisine, influenced by centuries of trade with Arabia, Persia, and India, blends fragrant spices with simple ingredients. Families gather around dishes like baris infused with cardamom and cinnamon, samosas stuffed with meat and onions, kanjiro served with honey or stew, and the ever-present camel milk that has nourished nomads for generations. Meals are often communal, shared from a single large platter as a symbol of unity. And even in the most difficult times, tea flavored with cloves and sugar is served as an act of hospitality, a gesture that says you are welcome, regardless of danger outside. Poetry remains one of Somalia's most respected art forms, a legacy of nomadic life where stories, wisdom, and even political disputes were expressed through verse, and to this day, poets are treated with the reverence usually reserved for leaders. Music fills homes and weddings with rhythmic beats and traditional instruments, carrying the voices of a culture that refuses to be silenced. Colorful fabrics, intricate henna designs, and the graceful flowing attire of Somali women bring brightness to streets that may otherwise feel heavy with conflict. Festivals and family gatherings are celebrated with passion, reaffirming identity, even when communities are displaced or separated. These cultural expressions, food, art, and tradition, are reminders that Somalia is not merely a landscape of chaos, but a place of beauty, heritage, and deep pride, proving that culture can outlive war, migration, and hardship when held tightly by people determined not to let it fade. The soul of Somalia, strength forged in storms. At the heart of Somalia lies a spirit that refuses to break, a quiet, stubborn resilience shaped by decades of struggle and generations of people who learned to survive where others could not. In the midst of conflict, drought, and displacement, Somalis continue to build, to hope, and to dream, carrying within them a strength that comes from a deep connection to family, faith, and land. Across the country, you'll find countless stories of perseverance. Teachers reopening schools in bomb-damaged buildings, mothers running small markets to feed entire neighborhoods, and young people creating tech startups in a place where even electricity can be uncertain, all driven by the belief that their homeland deserves more than the world gives it credit for. The Somali diaspora, spread across continents, sends back knowledge, money, and support, helping rebuild piece by piece, proving that distance does not weaken identity but strengthens it. In rural areas, nomads guide their camels across ancient routes with the same confidence as their ancestors, trusting the land even when the sky withholds rain, while fishermen launch their boats into turquoise waters each morning, hoping for calm seas and a chance at a better day. And as the sun sets over Mogadishu's shoreline, painting the sky in fierce reds and soft golds, the city seems to breathe with a mix of grief and hope. A reminder that Somalia is not just a place of danger, but a place of extraordinary endurance. Once you come to understand this country, its beauty, its pain, and its relentless will to rise, it stays with you forever. What do you think about the resilience of the Somali people? And would you ever want to explore a place that challenges everything you thought you knew? If you enjoyed this journey, hit the like button, subscribe, ring the bell, and share this video with someone who loves history and curious places.